I can feel the gravity, the forces pull between you and me. Yes, it's true, I'm falling hard for you, but I won't rush this love. I can wait even if it's hard to take. One moment is enough. I will be standing here right by your side. I will be standing here till the end of time. I will be standing here all through the night, till the stars align. A little lighter over time. Yes, it's true, I'm falling hard for you, but I won't rush this love. I can wait even if it's hard to take. One moment is enough. I will be standing here right by your side. I will be standing here till the end of time. I will be standing here all through the night, till the stars align.
Let's crack on then straight away. Welcome back to the Unfan Podcast and welcome to the match reaction for Oxford United against Wycombe Wanderers. It does finish 0-0. We've got a lot to speak about. You can probably see it on the title. You probably can see what we're going to be talking about today. Of course, Oxford United do get a point and it's a really, really interesting point. And I'm obviously, as always, intrigued to see what you've got to say about that point as well, because I think when games do finish 0-0, the natural instinct is to fall into that sort of feeling of it's 0-0, nothing happened in the game, it was boring, there's no goals. But actually, when you break the game down, there was something really, really interesting in that game for both Oxford United and Wycombe Wanderers. Of course, the main talking point will, of course, be that rivalry. Technically local rivalry. It's sort of a second rivalry, if you like, to Oxford United, past Wycombe past Swindon Town, obviously, then probably Wycombe. But then there is also that real natural sense of revenge you want to get after, of course, that playoff defeat 2 years ago. And Oxford United were desperate in front of the fans. Great crowd. I think it was over 9,000 people came to watch the game today. And although it was a draw and although there was no goals in the game, there was something really, really interesting I want to touch on. That was the way that, of course, Wycombe we knew were going to play, and they did play in that style. They played a really, really physical way of football, and to be honest, like I said, we expected it, but it was how Oxford United were going to combat. How Oxford United were going to combat that. How were they going to deal with that? Even though that they could do their homework and they knew what was going to happen in the game, how were they going to deal with that style of play? and how they're going to deal with Oxford United, how Oxford United are going to deal with Wycombe Wanderers in those different ways. And it was always going to be really, really interesting. It was always going to be a really kind of fascinating game, although it is 0-0, and although it did finish 0-0, it was going to be really, really fascinating and really, really interesting to see how the game would pan out. And Wycombe, let's be honest, they've got some massive lads. They've got some big lads. They've got Vokes up front. They've got some really, really good technically good football as well. You've got Jacobson at left back, but the centre halves are huge, and we knew that Oxford United at the moment, the issue we do have is that set piece situation. We're not very good when defending set pieces, and we are, against Wimbledon, we lost the game 3-1, and 2 of those goals were set pieces, and that is certainly a worry, especially from a coaching point of view. Conceding set pieces is a huge worry. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining in right now, please make sure you leave a like, and also give your thoughts in the live chat. I want to hear your thoughts in the live chat right now. I'll be reading all of those thoughts out. I know it's a 0-0 draw, so naturally, of course, that sort of sense of getting people in here. It's not always easy with a 0-0 draw. It's not always easy to attract people onto a live stream when you've just drawn the game 0-0. And technically, when you haven't been to a game, the natural instinct is nothing happened in the game. But again, I think the referee, and I'll put it out there right now, I think the referee had a really, really bad performance. I thought the referee was really, really poor. I'm going to say it right now. I thought the referee almost felt a little bit. It was a bit of a frightened performance from a referee point of view. It's almost like he wasn't really up for the physicality and for the style of game that he was refereeing. It was like he didn't really know sort of what he was getting himself into. It sort of felt like he didn't really sort of get hold of the game at any point. It's very, very late to book people. We should have had a penalty. In my eyes, that should have been a penalty. And even from a Wycombe perspective as well, they probably had an argument that they probably should have had decisions that weren't given, and the referee didn't give them either. So I don't think it's just get the violin out, poor Oxford United not getting the referee decisions, and it's me. And I'm talking about it from an Oxford United perspective, and I'm moaning about it from a referee point of view. And we didn't have we didn't get a penalty. That's why we didn't win the game. I'm not saying that by any stretch. I actually think when people laugh and talk about a referee performance and say, "Oh, we can't blame the ref," I think in circumstances like today, I think the referee should take a little bit of accountability and responsibility in the fact that the game, he almost sort of let the game sort of get away with itself, really, and that's a little bit worrying and quite annoying, because in a game like this, you've got to be, of course, you've got your authority, and you've got to be able to control the game. I don't think, and we knew Wycombe were going to play this way, and we knew that Wycombe were going to try and play it, and even their fans at the ground were saying, we play this way, and we know it. They're not blind to the fact the way they play their football. And when people come up with this argument, I sort of disagree with it from a point of view of, I won't play that every week. It's like, well, maybe you wouldn't, but you've got to understand as well that this is a style of play, and this is ultimately what got them promoted 2 years ago. And obviously they didn't have a great season in the Championship, but again they did get promoted, and they beat us physically in the playoff final as well. So when people go, "Oh, bro, how are we gonna, what are Wycombe gonna do?" Wycombe aren't a great side of football to watch, and I don't think even any Wycombe fan will probably sit there and say that they are a great footballing side to watch. But ultimately, it gets them results, the way they play their football, and that you can't really take away from it. And that's just the way it is. Matthew says, "I thought we were going to lose today for the game, so pointers are right in my eyes. I didn't watch the game, but from what I heard, we should have won. On to the next one." And that's got to be the mentality. I think that we've all got to sit here and go, it is a little bit deflating when you draw a game 0-0, because and I come on here and we draw the game 1-1, and I can already feel myself being a little bit more positive. And because it's 0-0, naturally, I feel a little bit more deflated. Maybe it's because I've just gone to watch a game and not seen a goal. And it was quite a slow game at times. But ultimately, 1-1, 0-0, 2-2, 3-2, 6-2, 10-2. It's a point, isn't it? It's a point. And either way, we're now 3 points off second place. We're 2 points off the playoffs. And everything's the same. Everything's the same, whatever, however way you look at it. And Matthew's right in that point in saying that is a good point. Wycombe are a good side, and Wycombe will be up there this season. They've got good players. They have the money from the Championship. They obviously have a way of playing that we know the way that they play. They play with real physicality. They play quite direct. They've got some big players. We've got the Akinfenwas to come off the bench as well. We've also got the fantastic prowess of a striker in Sam Vokes as well. And he's a fantastic player to have at this level. So again, we're not. I don't think anyone should sit here and be like gutted that we've drawn the game, because ultimately it is a good point. It's only a little bit more frustrating because we could have won won the game. Like Matthew said, we should have had a penalty. Again, that's completely, opinionated. I'm going to say we had a penalty. Again, I understand if a Wycombe fan disagrees with me and maybe thinks we don't have a penalty. I 100% get that, because that's down to footballing opinion and footballing bias, of course. I'm not blind to that. I'm not saying you're wrong if you're a Wycombe fan who don't think that's a penalty. From where I am, and again, we don't have the luxury of a replay at that point. So ultimately, we're going to have to just sit there at the point. I thought he got pushed over in the penalty area. Therefore, I believe it was a penalty. I'm going to watch the highlights back when they get released, and then I'll come out and probably say it on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever. Cheeky plug there, the Young Fan Podcast and both of those things. Actually, I think on Twitter it's just Young Fan Podcast. I'll probably come out on my social medias tonight after I've watched that back and said maybe I got it wrong. It wasn't a penalty, but ultimately at that point, and that's all I can go off, I think that was a penalty. But that's just the way it is. Maybe we could have played in a different way going forward, because they do play formation. They had some massive players at the back, like I said as well. We'll go through the team really quickly. I'll bring the team up so I don't just keep saying they've got big players. I actually start naming them. I do apologise, Wycombe. I don't actually know the name of your centre backs, especially with enough confidence to start saying it regularly, because I'll say it once wrong and then I'll get absolutely slaughtered for it. So if I get it right, if I look it up and then find out straight away, there'll be no way of me cocking it up anymore. But ultimately, I think generally, I thought the way it's so difficult to play Wycombe. How do you set up against Wycombe? I think Carl Robinson came out. I think a quote was that people are going to go away thinking that we saw a different side of Oxford United today, and maybe I wouldn't go away. I wasn't going away saying that personally, but now he says that, maybe that there's a sense of that. Apparently, Oxford United are down to player ratings on SofaScore. Well, on top, every player other than James Henry, Taylor, and Sykes got higher than a 7. I wouldn't say Gavin White got higher than a 7. To be honest, I'd say Alex Goring got man of the match. He did get man of the match in the game. Maybe Cameron Brannigan. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it was his best game. Probably had the closest effort. He probably had 2 really good strikes from long range on another day. Their goalkeeper did not look confident at all. We took 2 efforts, Cameron Brannigan, from outside the area, and he nearly spilled that, and there could have been a chance for a goal there. Gavin White, I think, needs to maybe sharpen up, or he hasn't looked awful, but he hasn't quite looked the Gavin White that we maybe expected. I'm sure he'll probably agree with that as well. I love Gavin White. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's got fantastic attacking ability, attacking threat, and I think what he can offer to Oxford United will be absolutely massive going forward if he can start maybe find that extra bit of spark. He needs to find that next level with time, with even more game time. I think he will probably find that, but at the moment I think he's playing a little bit within himself, and I think maybe at times not wanting the ball at moments. Maybe I'm completely wrong there, but just from watching it, there is sort of maybe a feeling around that could be a situation. Again, that's completely opinion, and again that's completely me looking into a situation that I don't know 100% about. Anyway, what we're looking for, Wycombe defenders. They had some big lads. Anthony Stewart, Jacobson, of course, I've already mentioned that left-footed, but he's also got a overlapping centre half. He played as a little bit, and then Ryan Tafos. Yeah, Ryan. We'll go with Ryan, won't we? We know the pronunciation of names is not the best. They got him from Hull, I believe. So yeah. Anyway, that back three was very, very good. I thought generally that back three was fantastic. And I thought in that midfield as well. I thought Jordan Obita, we know the Oxford United man Jordan Obita. They also had Brandon Hanlon, and they had Sam Vokes. I did think Hanlon did look okay. I thought Sam Vokes looked decent as well. I even thought, I thought actually Brandon Hanlon specifically, I thought looked really, really good. And I thought also Sam Vokes was a really interesting player for them to have. Actually, I thought that was quite an interesting option for them, but yeah, there we go. They were decent. They were decent, and we know how they want to play. We know how they're going to play. And Oxford United had to, like I said at the start, They had to deal with that. They had to be able to stop them. And I think we were right. We made some substitutions quite late, but I think Oxford United. I heard it on the radio being said as well. I heard people say it, and I think Carl Robinson said it himself as well. It was a case of who do you bring off, who do you take off, because Mark Sykes I thought looked decent. I thought Mark Sykes was quite lively. Maybe you could bring Gavin White on, but I think you're always waiting with Gavin White that he might produce a moment of brilliance, so it's difficult to bring him off, and I don't think we did. maybe Matty Taylor, but Sam Winnall wasn't on the bench either. So it is quite difficult. It's not easy. You've got the players you want to bring on. You've got Nathan Holland you want to bring on. You've got Billy Bowden that you want to bring on. You've got Ryan Williams that you want to bring on. I don't think any of those came on other than Nathan Holland. So it is almost a case of we've got players we want to bring on, but who are we going to bring them on for? And that can be sometimes a bit of an issue. I think Carlson maybe felt that issue today, which again will probably be one of those where in other games, in different circumstances, in games, he probably got to the point as well where he thought, I'm now this far into the game. What's the worst that could happen? Obviously, lose the game. Maybe you could go, and there is a sense you could risk it and try and win the game. But again, at the same time, you don't want to risk winning the game and then end up losing 1-0. You come away from this game losing 1-0. It's an absolute shambles, and it's going to get absolutely slaughtered. And so, he's got to find a balance there. He has to find a balance in what he's going to do. And, he made the decision today to make those substitutions quite late because he didn't want to risk losing the game, which you've got to respect and you've got to understand that. But again, that's just the way it is. And that's just what you've got to understand from a manager point of view. And that's the difference between a manager's perspective and a fan perspective. A manager's going to look at it from the view of, we lose the game today 1-0, I'm going to get absolute pelters, I'm going to stay with what I've got. You look at it from a fan point of view and you see it as a sense of, could we have risked to go on and win the game? But again, everything is in hindsight. It finishes 0-0, it finishes a draw, and the league table, like I said at the start, the league table is still so close. We've got a big game away next Saturday against Cheltenham. We go into that game, there'll be a Sunday match day experience, vloggy, come back, sit in the studio, discuss it, break it down like this. Video out on next Sunday. Of course, as well, we've got my documentary coming out very, very soon. I don't want to speak too much about it because I know I'll accidentally spill something out about date and time of it being released. It's coming very, very soon. That's all I've got to say on that. The trailer dropped today. I'm so excited about it. Anyway, back to the league table. Oxford United finishing 10th. I must also say as well, that's not a documentary about me. I say my documentary, as in I'm in it, I made it. But it's not a documentary on my life. That would be awfully boring. It's about non-league. It's about football. I just thought I'd put that out there. So either way, back to the league table. 10th, Oxford United. And we're currently on 11 points. That's now 2 points from second, who are Wigan. And first, Sunderland, of course, on 15 points. We're now 4 points away from them. In the playoffs, we're only 1 point away. Of course, some teams have played 7, some have played 6. We're one of the many teams, really, that have played 7 games. Only Sunderland, Wigan, Plymouth, and Wycombe above us have played just 1 less game than us. But yeah, that's the way it is. Great win for us today. I know. Bolton fans in here, Bolton fan. What happened in your game, by the way? 5-2. Can we quickly touch on that? If that Bolton fan is still in the stream right now, what happened in that game and what are Ipswich doing? I know this is an Oxford United versus Wycombe match reaction, but honestly, Ipswich are having a nightmare, aren't they? Ipswich have not won a game yet this season. They've just conceded 5 goals at home. It's horrific. 15 goals conceded this season. They have scored 10. They're scoring goals, but they've conceded 15 goals. They've conceded the most goals in the league. It's horrific. And quite by, maybe, Wimbledon have considered 12. But, yeah, Ipswich, who have spent some serious money, who have invested some serious money, brought some good players in, conceding 15 goals in 6 games this season. Ipswich are having an absolute mare, aren't they? Ipswich are just really, really struggling. If you've got any questions as well, give your thoughts. I'll be always answering your questions about the game. Obviously, I went, but some of you may not have gone. If you don't support Oxford United, you want to come in and chat football as well, like this Bolton fan. I want to hear from this Bolton fan. What happened? Ipswich are having a disaster. And this does link back to Oxford United in a sense. Is a draw today, in hindsight, really is not a bad result because a lot of teams have lost against Wycombe this season. And again, this is really, really interesting that we speak about because the teams like Ipswich are still dropping points. I believe Charlton, did they lose today or did they draw today? I think that was it a defeat for them again today? Yeah, they lost at home to Cheltenham, who we've got next week, the game I'm going to, Cheltenham. That's not going to be easy. And Cheltenham are going to be a really, really difficult game. Charlton and Ipswich both losing, both at home. Their season just goes from bad to worse. I'm pretty sure Fleetwood won today as well. I'm pretty sure they beat Sheffield Wednesday, who are now 12th, by the way. They were top of the league. Looked like they were going to comfortably... I honestly thought Sheffield Wednesday were going to walk the league. I know it sounds stupid after 5 games, but they just looked unstoppable. And now recently, 2 games they've lost, and they've lost at home, I believe, to Fleetwood. That's an awful, awful result for them. Portsmouth again, who looked really good. They're now back in 11th. They must have had a shocking result today. Yeah, not shocking, but certainly a poor one, losing away to MK. So teams around us are losing games, and that is that's what I'm talking about. Oxford United, losing against Wimbledon is disappointing, but then again, the teams around us losing, so even losing games as well. I think that that are really, really going to cause Oxford United, are going to benefit Oxford United, but obviously losing to Wimbledon is not going to benefit us by a lot either. Bolton fan says here, what an amazing game. Was it an amazing game or boring? It was neither really, mate. To be honest, I'm not going to lie, it was neither. I wouldn't say it was boring. I would not say it's boring. I'm not just saying it. I would not say it's boring. It was not. I wouldn't say it was a boring game, and the reason for that is because it was quite a fascinating game, and it sort of got like a geeky football nerdy face on here. I mean, if you're sat in here spending your £10 monthly, it was probably more than that. I don't know. Let's be honest, paying your Sky Sports subscription and you're watching that game. You go onto Twitter. People can describe that as a boring game. People will describe that as a boring game if you're paying your Sky Sports subscription on television. You will. But if you watch it from a football perspective and you went there to watch the game, it was quite fascinating how a team that played very, very different. It was sort of two polar opposite teams going against each other. One team that played against under Robinson historically and traditionally under Robinson, play really, really good, fascinating, quick, fast counter-attacking, but then also also possession based as well, depending on different ways depending on your opposition. Really played really, really attacking football against a Wycombe side that played really, really physically and really, really different to Oxford United. So it's sort of two really different teams going against each other. So it made it quite interesting. I wouldn't say it's exciting. I'm not stupid by saying that, but I wouldn't say it's boring. So I'd say it's interesting game. Hopefully that answers your question. And I want to hear from you, Bolt. I want to hear this Bolton fan from your perspective. What happened in your game? Were Ipswich poor or were you amazing? That's the question I've got to say. Because conceding 5 goals suggests that you're poor, that Ipswich were poor, but 5 goals conceded in that game at home, 3-2 down at half time, but then 5-2 is not a good result for Ipswich Town. And I think, to be honest, Ipswich are just struggling from the fact their team at the moment is just not gelling at all. Cameron Burgess played a 5.9. Apparently Christian Walton in goal played a 5.4. The right back here, is it Kane Vincent Young, that played a 4.9 and got subbed off. What minute did he get subbed off? 21st minute. Maybe it was an injury. Was it an injury or was he just getting absolutely done? He's played a 4.9. It'd be pretty harsh to give him a 4.9 and get a 4.9 and then get injured, and that's why he gave him. When he got booked as well, but he was only on for 21 minutes. What happened to that lad? Getting dragged off after 21 minutes. Very, very interesting stuff there. Who else got any more goals? Lee Evans is still playing for them. Raheem Harper looks like he had a pretty decent game. Again, you look at that bench, Joe Pigott, Louis Barry, some fantastic players in this squad, just not working, just not gelling. As for Bolton, they looked fantastic, scored a lot of goals, 5 goals today, comfortably beating Ipswich Town. There we go then, ladies and gentlemen. What a game. We hammered them, I think. They didn't play too good. Dapo just shredded them. I believe, that is your... that's the guy that scored against us, well, wasn't it, Dapo? That isn't his actual name, but yeah, it is of that sort. You'd seen to have hammered them, to be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got any more questions, give your last sort of thoughts on today's game or these League One round of results and fixtures or surprising moments of the of the week. Really, keep giving your thoughts as well. Leave a like and subscribe, all of which are free and easy. Please do both of those things. If you've got any more last thoughts, get them in the live chat. I'll be discussing and talk about them for the last. Let's just sort of round it up at 25 minutes. You've got 2 minutes or so just to give your last thoughts in, and we'll discuss it there as well. In conclusion, and in a sort of a really quick way of summarising the game, I thought Oxford United, against a very, very difficult, tough battle of a result, and against such a difficult side, I thought we did very, very well. I thought in the circumstances, when you're playing against that sort of opposition, I thought we did well, and that's the most important thing. Going to go good stream. Bye. See you later, my friends. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, I think in conclusion, if we're going to conclude it quickly, I think in conclusion, I think in the circumstances and the way that Wycombe play, I thought we did quite well. Who was my man of the match? I'll ask you a question. Who's your man of the match for today's game? Whether you were there, listening on the radio, weren't there, whatever. Who would you give man of the match to? I know it's quite difficult giving a man of the match if you didn't watch or listen to any of the game. But if you did either one of those things, I would give. I mean, they gave man of the match to Alex Gorin, I believe. I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but I don't think I would have gone with Sykesy, maybe. I actually thought Jack Stevens looked good. I thought Jack Stevens made some really, really good saves. I actually thought McNally looked decent. I thought defensively, I think it was Matthew earlier that said needed a clean sheet, and I think that's really, really important. A really good point. We did need a clean sheet, and I think getting that clean sheet defensively, I thought we looked good. And that, I think that was really, really important that we did get those. And when you do get a clean sheet, normally all four of your back four do well. Sam Long came on as well, so that's really, really exciting to see Sam Long back in an Oxford United shirt. It won't be long, hopefully, before he see him starting, hopefully Saturday against Cheltenham. Not because Anthony Ford did badly. I don't think it was because Anthony Ford had a bad game. I wouldn't say that. I thought Anthony Ford has done really, really well. And we've seen a lot of right backs come in at Oxford United with the injuries that we've had down to Jamie Hansen and Sam Long. Thankfully, he's now back. I think we're seeing now players come into these roles and just do it, giving everything. I thought when Ryan Williams came in at right back for those two games, I thought he looked fantastic against Charlton in particular. I thought Anthony Ford, he's been sort of that main right back, sort of second, but has been the main right back since Sam Long's been out. I thought he looked really, really good as well. And that's what I mean. That is what I mean when players have to come in and they have to show and perform when they need to, and that's really, really important because we have had injuries this season with Billy Bowden. He's back on the bench as well. Marcus McGuane's now back out injured, and that's going to be difficult for Marcus McGuane because he was struggling to get in the team anyway. Herbie Kane, we haven't seen a lot of Herbie Kane yet this season. I mean, he's only been here available for 3 games, including that Papa John's game. But again, we probably will want to see him in that starting 11 soon. But who'd you go in for? I thought Alex Gorin did well today. I thought Cameron Brannigan is in fantastic form and doing really, really well. I thought James Henry, again, today, maybe a little bit off it, but generally since the start of the season, James Henry, for me, has been my player of the month. I thought Cameron Brannigan, who has been good, did get player of the month for Oxford United this season. I think it's close between him and James Henry, but I think James Henry was his hat-trick he got. It was his hat-trick he got against Lincoln, wasn't it, as well? I think that's quite harsh not to give someone that's got a hat-trick in that month. He got nominated for League One Player of the Month, yet didn't even win our Player of the Month. That's nothing to do with taking away from Cameron Brannigan. I thought he has had a very, very good set of games in his first month of the season, but still a little bit harsh on James Henry. I thought he maybe did deserve to get that Player of the Month award. But yeah, either way, I thought Herbie Kane come out against his side. How's that going to come in? How does he fit back into? How does he fit into starting 11 for the first time? That front three, we do have now options. Sam Winner, where was Sam Winner today? Is he injured? I mean, it wouldn't be. Let's be careful what I say, but wouldn't be surprised if Sam Winner was injured. He hasn't got a great track record with injuries, has he? I'll quickly have a quick look now. I don't know with that. He wasn't in the squad today. Maybe he wasn't in the squad for other reasons, but it was quite strange not to have Sam Winner in the squad. He normally is a player that we definitely do have around the squad. Did he get injured against Wimbledon? Maybe did he even come on against Wimbledon in that last game? He did in the 72nd minute. Didn't do anything. And I think we talk about Sam Winner. I actually think Sam Winner today would have been interesting. I thought Matty Taylor did quite well today, but I think Sam Winner a little bit more physical maybe could have affected the game in a different way. But it's quite difficult to say now. Now that I thought Matty Taylor did quite well. I don't know where Sam Winner is. I presumed he's injured. I actually thought Dan Adjie coming off the bench as well. I think we saw him come on quite late today. I think that maybe could have been one that was said earlier. I think someone that said on the radio as well, you don't know what you're going to get with Dan Adjie off the bench. Are you going to get a Dan Adjie that's going to impact the game straight away? Or are you going to get a Dan Adjie that doesn't do anything and we sort of see him not really impact the game? I thought we saw a mix of both today. It was quite difficult to see anything because we had 8 minutes of injury time, which I don't actually feel the ball was in play, and because of their sort of time-wasting tactics way of sort of controlling and seeing out the game. And then Dan Adjie, I thought, looked okay when he came in. But like I said, it's really difficult to judge on, really. But yeah, And then that's sort of where we're at, really. That's sort of the position that Oxford United are in. I think it's a massive game on Saturday against Cheltenham. It's not going to be easy. This misconception of we're playing against Cheltenham, they've just been promoted, it should be a game that we should be winning. It probably is a game that we should be winning on paper. But Sheffield Wednesday were definitely probably saying that they should have won the game today. They just lost to Cheltenham today as well. So again, that's where they are. That's the position we are in this league, and that is how competitive this division is. You just don't know what you're going to get, and that is why when you draw against Wycombe, this on paper, in my opinion, is not a bad result. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in for a 0-0 draw. The support. I'm watching the viewers up and down as they come in. I'm watching the playbacks as well on the live stream, and actually a lot of people have come in and tuned in during the stream. The average watch time as well is really, really positive for a stream that is a 0-0 draw. And your thoughts in the comments and live chat have been fantastic. Remember, you can watch this back at any point. If you're just joining now, you're thinking, they're closing the stream, I've missed everything, I've missed half an hour of great content. That's exactly what you're thinking. You can scroll back at any time and watch this episode of the podcast whenever you want. It's always on the channel. Always on the channel. A tough game today. A really, really interesting one. And hopefully you people enjoyed it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. If you're new and you have not yet subscribed, please make sure that you subscribe. It's free and easy. Leaving a like as well. You can leave a like at any point. Leaving a like, again, is so easy and it helps me out so much. And please make sure you do that as well. Really, really exciting documentary coming out on the channel very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 0-0 draw for Oxford United today, but not a bad result in my eyes against what is, again, a difficult Wycombe Wanderers side. Ladies and gentlemen, it's League One match reactions. They are back. They're back live, and they'll be back next week as well. This time, of course, a video on Sunday after we travel to Cheltenham. I've been Jack, like I said, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.